attend to learning. So when you say, hey, I want you to pay attention, do they really know how to pay attention? And as a parent, it's like, okay, I tell one of my boys to clean their room and then go rake the leaves in the yard. Well, I check on him a half hour later, nothing got done. I go, didn't I tell you to do something? Really? Did you tell me to do something? So what happened was I said words that they could hear. They didn't get a picture. And so it went out the other side. Sort of like husband hearing. How come all the wives always chuckle with that one? So what happens is, if they're going to hear something, you want them to get the picture. If you're going to read something, you want them to get the picture. Because if you get the picture, you've got it forever. If you know what that word looks like, you can spell it well beyond the spelling test. If you get the picture of the story, you've got it forever. And so now we're trying to get kids to develop pictures. And that's one of the problems that we find is that kids don't develop pictures like they used to. Because now we've got video games, TV, movies, big picture books. We've got all these things where you're looking at somebody else's picture, so the kids don't have to create their own picture. Well, that's a problem, because when you get into school and you need to create this picture, you don't know how to do it. So we started 2 years ago with this kindergarten group, and it became obvious. First, we kind of had panic, because the parents could see the control group, the other kindergarten class, going up academically. Our class wasn't. We were building a foundation. And we worked on a foundation and worked on a foundation. And when Ms. Reese and I felt that the kids had most of the tools that they needed, all of a sudden then, about 3 months after school began, we started academics. Well, it didn't take long for that experimental group to go beyond. And if you've got kids that were in that kindergarten class that are now in the second grade class, you know what I'm talking about, because those kids just went ballistic. And now, over half the class is advanced proficiency in reading. Unheard of. So, that's when Kellyanne pressed the point with Mr. Toming and Mr. Patzer, and they developed this school, which now your kids have the opportunity to be in. And I think it's wonderful, because we're going to work with those kids. And these kinds of activities, these are reflections of how organized our brains are. If some kids are having trouble with some of the activities, that means their brain's having some trouble with, a process that's going to affect their learning eventually. And we want to eliminate that. This stuff has become so integrated now that the Army in 2005 found that a lot of the high school graduates that they were enlisting couldn't think. They couldn't solve problems. They couldn't do a lot of the things that high school graduates could have done maybe 40, 50 years ago. So they started a DVL program in the military, and now the Army does a lot of these activities to develop the brains of those enlisted men and women so that they can now function as thinking, action people and be a good team member in their units. So, it's not only this school. It just happens that this school is progressive. New Jerusalem authorizes one of the schools I started in Manteca, and that's how we kind of got together with this philosophy. And you might have questions. The thing is, we want to lead kids to being successful rather than pushing kids to be successful. You can only push so long, and then they start rebelling. But once you start leading them, it's fun, it's easy. If your kids don't have homework, don't worry about it. It's much nicer to get all the work done at school, and then you've got family time. Sit down and have dinner as a family. Play a board game. Go for a walk. Do something that will help them develop as a person, because it's interesting that 65–70% of our communication is body language. Just, am I getting across? But now, this is, this is information, and where's the body language? And so, just being together as a family and enjoying things together is that's your homework. Read with your kids. Read to your kids. That's homework. Now, eventually, they are going to get some homework, and so don't worry. We're going to keep you up with that. So, if you feel like panicking because you don't think your kids are learning anything, talk to Mr. Patzer, talk to Ms. Reese, talk to me, because there's a good reason of how we're pacing this thing out. All right? Thank you for trusting New Jerusalem and this program, because you are starting a new school. There are a few examples of programs like this throughout the country, but not many. And hopefully every school eventually will get to this thing of give kids the tools that they need. They're smart kids. Nobody should fail in school. And so let's give them the tools, give them the academics, create great kids. Thanks.
With that, kids are working on an art project right now. If we want, we can kind of pass through, and if you want to see your child working in their classroom, feel free to do that. If you want to hang out, you can hang out. We've got about half an hour